All right, folks, let's do a weather model discussion. This is Tuesday, January 31st. William Cole here in the Storm Studio. It's late. This is about 6:40 p.m. And the reason why we've been dealing with active weather all day, and I'm just kind of getting even the stuff here for our weather model discussion booted up. But I wanted to do one of these just for our social media, just to kind of take an in-depth look, and that way we're not so rushed like we typically are on the channel. And by the way, you know, I've gotten a couple emails from some of you on YouTube. Remember, you know, if you like our content and what we're doing just with these, remember we've got a whole channel. You can watch our whole channel. Remember that we're on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Roku, Apple, Amazon Fire TV is where you can watch us live. The channel's also on YouTube. You can watch our channel on YouTube as well. So we try and put these up as much as possible. Through the holidays, we weren't doing them as much. I'm trying to kind of get back into doing them, and then we've just been hammered with this winter storm. And obviously, I've got to do our live channel before I can do, you know, these deals for social media. So hopefully that makes sense. But I think some folks who maybe you've just kind of seen me do these, maybe you didn't totally understand that. But I mean, we do have a whole channel. We even have a mobile app. We have all kinds of stuff you can download. All of it's free. And again, you can actually watch all this, you know, truly live in real time. But I do want to do one of these. Like I said, I want to try and look at some raw data, and I want to get everyone caught up with what's going on, because we're maybe not even halfway done with this wintry weather event. And I tell you what, as we get into tomorrow, tomorrow is really going to be the climax. I mean, it really will be. Tomorrow we're really talking about a lot of freezing rain, and I'm just trying to cue this up. Like I said, I literally just jumped on here to do this after we finished up with our normal stuff. So I'm actually queuing up the radar because I want to give you a radar tour here as well. But again, we're maybe halfway through this, if you will. We've had quite a bit of sleet so far in this event, right? We've had a lot of sleet. The roads are what you would call slick and hazardous right now because of the sleet accumulation, right? But now here's the problem for tomorrow, okay? The roads are going to go from slick and hazardous, that category, which is already bad. I mean, you know, we maybe get that once a year here in North Texas, and not always every year either. They're going to go from slick and hazardous to treacherous, which is the high end. There's no more classification beyond treacherous tomorrow. And this is the reason why, is because all the sleet that's already on the ground, right, and on the roads, we're now going to get freezing rain on top of that. So what is freezing rain? Freezing rain is actually still a raindrop, a liquid raindrop that falls and it freezes on contact, typically to surfaces that are sub-freezing, normally elevated surfaces, power lines, branches, bridges. But what do we already have on the ground? We have sleet that is already frozen, so the raindrops are going to fall on that. It's basically going to be freezing rain at that point. But what's going to happen? It's going to put a solid sheet of ice across the roads. Okay, so, you know, sleet is better than freezing rain, but sleet first and freezing rain second is the worst case situation, right? Or even snow first and then getting freezing rain. Anything that freezing rain can actually stick to really causes some real problems, right? So I just want to clear that up. Again, roads tomorrow, they're going to go from really bad to just, I mean, there's no other, you know, adjective, there's no other category to explain them, right? So if you don't have to go to work tomorrow, which again, hopefully most of your employers are allowing you to either work from home or just giving you the day off. Tomorrow's not the day. And I tell you what, even Thursday morning, it probably is still going to be pretty dicey. And then as we get later into Thursday and a Friday, we'll be on our way. In fact, this weekend, I've got high temperatures back in the 60s. Okay, so we've got some really good stuff on the way. But I mean, for North Texas, I mean, ice-wise, this is a big deal, and it truly, in earnest, is going to be tomorrow. Okay, so let me go and walk you through all of this, what I'm talking about. Number one, we've got the temperatures up there, live temperatures around the area. And again, they just haven't moved, right? Arctic air masses, they're thick, they're dense, and once you get one in your area, right? And again, especially when you're cloudy, you have precipitation, there's really nothing to modify this. So the temperatures are just stuck, they're not moving. It's truly going to take Thursday until we start to get some southerly winds to return to begin to kind of scour this Arctic air out, right? It doesn't like to move very quickly, and there'll still be some precipitation around on Thursday, but we should be making some improvement. But right now, again, if you're wondering why, again, the temperatures literally just have not moved. The maps aren't broke. You know, your phone, we're showing you the temperatures not broke. broke. It's just that's the way Arctic air is. It has to either be scoured out or it has to be modified by sun or something else. And if not, it just you're locked in. And right now we're locked in because it's cloudy, and again we've got the precipitation, and we're getting the reinforcing shots of cooler air, colder air, Arctic air coming in. So that would be called advection, moving it in. Okay, so let me do this. I want to show you just real quickly here the live cam shot as well, and then we'll really get down to business. This is going to be a little bit different. Typically, we only do, the raw data on this. I'm going to show you the raw data coming up, but I actually want to go through some of our normal stuff here just to give you a real heads up on what's going on. So there it is. Again, you can see there is still some freezing drizzle showing up, but again, compared to earlier in the day, downtown Dallas, it was whiteout. I mean, we had so much sleet ongoing out there that it was truly just, in that situation, it was a whiteout condition. So here's what I want to do. I'm actually going to use the weather computer. We typically don't use these, don't use this. Like I said, we typically do just the raw data, and this is going to load up real quick. Sorry, it went to black. But I want to show you, number one, the winter storm warning that we have in effect. So this has not changed. The area has not changed, but this has now been extended through Thursday morning, right? Through 6 a.m. Thursday morning, we now have a winter storm warning in effect around the area. Now, in addition to that, this is not a higher priority warning. This is they're equal, if you will, but inside of that actual winter storm warning, we now have an ice storm warning. Okay, for North Texas, it's not unprecedented. We've had them before, but this is not an every year issuance, right? We don't get these every year, and so that's going to be where it's a little more likely. The Weather Service and their analysis, they think it's going to be a little more likely to add to the glazing, to add to the ice, and the opportunity of some power bumps, and again some limbs. Branches coming down because of the glazing. It does include Tarrant, it does include Denton County, and again locations out to the west, again right there along Interstate 20, Parker, Palo Pinto County, Erath County, Hood, again just some of those counties, Somervell County included in that as well, also Johnson County down around the Claiborne area included in that as well. So the bottom line is all across North Texas, icing will be possible tomorrow. It may just be a little more concentrated in that area, again, based off the Weather Service's analysis. Now, with that being said, I am going to show you just what the computer is doing, and the computer is doing a pretty decent, and this is an all-encompassing thing here, through the entire event, of 1/4 to 1/2 inch in the darker shade of purple, right? So that does include all of Dallas-Fort Worth, all of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, and again, you can see the smattering of pink. We actually don't even have a color on our bar up there because pink rarely shows up on this, but that would be over 1/2 inch of glazing, but it's down there near that ice storm warning that they issued. You can see that smattering of pink, and that's where the computer is saying, hey, there could be over 1/2 inch of glazing. Once you get to that 1/2 inch of glazing threshold, you're basically at a winter storm. That's a big deal. At that 1/2 inch, there's never a guarantee you're going to have power disruptions, but drooping power lines, and again, branches either also being drooped down or just kind of being snapped off, that's when you start getting into those localized power issues, right? We're not going to have a grid failure. Fingers crossed, we're not going to have a grid failure, right? This would not be the whole system going down like a couple years ago. This is localized in your neighborhood, something happening to your line specifically, and they go out. But if it goes out, what's the deal? They have to fix it, right? So the linemen have to come out and actually repair that. Well, if you can't drive on the roads, you saw that, you may have seen the TxDOT truck on social media that was out last night trying to sand the roads. It said on there from TxDOT, one of their most experienced, longest term drivers, very experienced even driving those big trucks in the wintry weather. What happened? It was on the 635, one of the exit ramps. It may have been on the High-5 coming onto the 635. I'm not totally sure, but right in there somewhere, what happened? That big truck flipped. Okay, that big truck flipped, and then of course all the other cars, just like pancakes, ran right into it. So that was a big deal. But where I'm going with this is, just like the Encore truck, similar truck, they're not going to be able to get around. So if you start to get a power bump It's not going to be, oh, we'll be out in 2 hours to fix it. You may be down until Thursday, okay? So that's something to keep in mind with your family. And what happened, when we had the winter storm a couple years ago, the temperatures were much colder, right? We were near or below zero, right? So that's, it was deadly cold in that situation. But where I'm going with this is there were people in their homes that, because the temperatures got so low, people passed away. The parents had their children pass away in their home. Obviously, the temperature is much colder, but where I'm going with this is if you happen to run into a power bump, obviously do everything you can, blankets, whatever you need to do to stay covered up, because just because you're in your home, and I'm sure most people realize this, I'm not trying to talk down to anyone, but just because you're in your home, if you lose power, obviously the temperature can drop pretty quickly as well, right? We're not going to drop to zero, we're not going to drop to -2 like that week, but it can still be dangerous. So if you lose power, the immediate thing you want to do, obviously grab blankets, get wrapped up, make sure you don't lose any body temperature, and do it for your kids right away as well, okay? So again, like I said, I'm sure everyone understands that, but again, we did run into that situation 2 years ago, and in Texas, we get the wintry weather, but we don't always know what to do with it, right? Sometimes when this happens, just like the roads, we don't do too well in this, right? This isn't our thing, right? 100 degrees through the summer, we can handle that. Spring severe weather, we don't like that either, but we know what to do with tornadoes and stuff like that. Winter weather, we struggle a little bit. Okay, so let me do this. I want to show you the model here as well, and then we'll look at a little bit of raw data and kind of do a bit of an analysis on this. And so through the evening, and again, we'll look at the raw data, but like I said, I really want to stick with our stuff. Just it's a better presentation for anyone who would be watching this. Again, through the evening, there's still some light precipitation, but I tell you, this evening and tonight, it remains pretty light, okay? The roads are already bad. They're not going to get any better, so I would stay off of the roads. But as far as glazing, additional ice accumulation, this evening and overnight, it appears to be pretty minimal. That being said, let me go and take you into tomorrow. This is midnight tonight. Let me roll this back into motion. Here we go. There's 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, and there's the kind of the finale wave, if you will. This is going to be all freezing rain, and again, the opportunity of significant glazing is there. I'm going to stop it. This is 3 a.m. 3 a.m. Thursday morning, 3 a.m. Thursday morning. Notice the ice line begins to back off a little bit because we have what's called warm air advection. Not that temperatures are going up to 50, but we're going to try and get to 32, 33, 34 as we go through Thursday morning, and that would take us out of that freezing rain zone, and the ice line begins to move back to the north, and at the same time, we have drier air wrapping in around the system. So from 3:56 a.m. Thursday morning, let me go and roll this back into motion. And again, take a look at that. So here comes the dry slot. We end the precip. We're above freezing. Everything turns to liquid rain. Two scenarios here. Number one, if we just end the precip, that's good, number one. But if we're able to get above freezing and we get some liquid rain, even if we're at like 34 or 35, just that cold rain, remember, that'll do wonders of melting ice. Ice that's on power lines, ice that's on tree branches, ice that's on the roads. Again, that water, that liquid water, again, even at 34, 35 degrees, will quickly begin to melt that away, and that would give us big improvement. Now, it may not happen because the precip may just cut off, okay? So that would be, that right there is about 7 a.m. in the morning. But now here's the other piece of Thursday. On the back side of this system, on the cold side of this system, we may still have another opportunity of a light wintry mix, or maybe even some snow actually, mainly from Interstate 20 to the north. So that would not give a lot of additional impacts. It should be fairly light the way it looks right now, but simply put, on Thursday, we're not completely done. But if we could wash away a lot of that ice with some rain earlier in the day, this would be pretty minimal, and then we could get into Friday, we get well back above freezing, and we're on our way into the weekend, okay? But still, Thursday could be pretty dicey, and if this doesn't work out just right, Friday morning could also be pretty dicey, and it would truly take until Friday afternoon to really begin to melt the roads and really see some improvement, okay? So we're basically going through the entire week. So again, hopefully you have the supplies, hopefully you got what you needed, again, for you and your family to really ride this out. I mean, these winter deals down here in North Texas, it seems like we get one per year. It's typically right about now, the end of January, early February, but they're tough. They're a 1 week long deal and they're tough, but once we get through them, we typically get through them, and we haven't really had much in the way of additional wintry weather to end February or to head into March the last couple of years, okay? So there's no guarantee on that. Let me just give you a quick shot here of the radar, and then we'll look at just a little bit of raw data, then we'll get off of here. But here's just a quick peek at the radar. And again, you can see right now in the Metroplex, there's some very light, fine precip. This is just based off the NexRad here, and the NexRad not picking up everything because it's pretty light, it's pretty fine, but there is still a little bit of freezing drizzle out there. And again, you can see some precipitation trying to regenerate back off to the southwest. That would be coming into that new ice zone, that ice storm warning that we have. But even eventually, as we go through the late evening into the overnight, that could also move across the Metroplex as well. Again, right now we're looking at this. Again, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. The roads are already done, and again, we're going to get glazing, right? This would not be a significant glazing. Again, what we're talking about for tomorrow is where the more significant glazing is going to come from. So hopefully you're just staying in, you're staying warm, and you're staying off the roads. The roads are done. I mean, just don't, unless it's an emergency, right? Unless it's an emergency, I personally, I would just absolutely stay off the roads. Okay, let me do this. I want to do one more thing here. And let me just, this is Encore. This is in our system, and then we'll look at the raw data. And this is just Encore's website. I just already have this open within our weather computer because I've showed it on the air a couple times today. And I'm going to pull up the raw data over here. But we're at 19,000. Over 19,000 power disruptions now. Keep in mind that's not just North Texas. There Encore services more of Texas than just North Texas, but most of those little markers are in or around North Texas, right? Some of those go down towards Austin. Some of those go down 35 towards Austin, Waco and Austin, but most of those are right in North Texas. So the vast majority of power disruptions that, again, we're already seeing, there's 702 incidents, 702 issues somewhere within their operating system, and that's putting 19,000 people without power, okay? So those numbers from earlier in the day when I first pulled this up earlier this morning to start using it, it was at about 5,500. So, I mean, we've gone up dramatically as we've gone through the day. And I mean, today's mainly been sleet, right? So tomorrow is when we're going to truly get into the freezing rain. Let me just pull this up here quickly. Like I mentioned, I'm just pulling up the data here. Let me see if we have this here from the last time I did one of these. Let me just open this up. And like I said, sorry about the delay. I literally jumped on here and to do one of these because I like doing these because we're able to kind of give you, it's not so rushed from what we do on our channel, right? You can kind of really talk and get your point across. Let me just see if we can open this up and then we'll get on with it. Okay, this is what I wanted to do. This was the shot. Okay, so now we're in the model. And again, this is just the raw data, right? This is from weathermodels.com. It's just our site that I like to use, right? It's just a premium weather data service, but I tend to like this one. So let me run you through just the high-res data. This is the latest run that just came in. And I mean, it's still there. I mean, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, I mean, you can see that big kind of finale wave that comes through. And it's going to be pushing through most of the day. Let me come back to the latest extended run. This was about 4 hours ago now. We'll just kind of run this through. There's 4 a.m. So the new data brings it through a little bit earlier. Again, whether it starts at 4 a.m. or whether it starts at 6 a.m. Truly at this point it doesn't matter. But the newest data is showing 4. This is showing 6. And again, you can see there it is, just as we go through. I mean, basically all day. This Thursday by 1 a.m. in the morning, you can see the transition zone trying to happen in the Metroplex by midnight or 1 a.m. early Thursday. But the latest data, I mean, it continues this. I mean, so there we go. So there's that opportunity of maybe more of a rain. That's 5 a.m. Thursday through about 9 a.m. I mean, it's a small window, and some of it could still be mixing a little bit. But again, if we can just get some liquid rain, man, that would really help with that ice accumulation. And then there's the backside as we go through the afternoon. Yeah, but by 1 o'clock, you see there's a light wintry mix trying to come back through. Very light. This would be the backside of it, again, would be very, very light. Okay, so it would be less of a concern. And then after that, probably Friday morning is, the way it looks, to be honest with you, Friday morning is probably going to be pretty tough. Probably even to go to work is going to be pretty tough even Friday morning. But then through the day on Friday, we are going to get above freezing, and we should have some pretty decent improvement. Here's the short-term high-res data. And let me switch the view on this. I may have to get a drink of water. I've been talking so much the last 2 days that I never lose my voice, even when we do severe weather coverage. I've never lost my voice, even doing like 10 hours in a day. But sometimes I just have to drink a little extra water. So there's the high-res data for tomorrow, right? And what we're looking for is that magic 32 number. Okay, and this is for DFW specifically. So what this is showing us is through tonight, 26, 27, through the day tomorrow, 29, 30, we stay below freezing, but there we go. We hit that magic number. It's showing by about midnight on early Thursday morning, and then it's 32, 32 to about 34 by noon on Thursday. So, I mean, we're getting to freezing. We're getting back above freezing. Right now, my forecasted high for Thursday, we'll have to look at that. I believe I've got 38. That may even be optimistic. So we're going to get above freezing. We will have some melting ongoing, but Thursday may not be a big help, right? And even with some additional light mixed precip coming in, it may truly be until Friday. So again, if you're looking at work, if you got to go to work, if you're needing to do work, whatever the deal is, it may truly be until like noon on Friday. I mean, and we'll just see how quickly we can get the roads back in order at that point. So quickly, here's the blend of models. This is all things considered, and this is truly going to be on the higher side, right? So it's got 33 for tomorrow. High-res data doesn't take us there. It's got 40 for Thursday, which, again, throughout the week has kind of looked promising, but it's just not there. Let me go and show you my 12-day. Let me just go and pull this up really quick here. And we'll show you the real forecast. So Wednesday, tomorrow, 31. I mean, again, we'll struggle to try and get there. That'll be, remember, getting closer to midnight. Through most of the day, we'll be at 29 or 30. And then as we get into Thursday, I've got 38 after that morning freeze. Again, we may not even make it to 38. We may make it to like 36 based off the very newest data. Some improvement, maybe not a lot as we go through Thursday, but the precip does end by late Thursday, okay? Then as we get into Friday, sunny, southeasterly wind comes back. We begin to scour out that Arctic air. And again, we'll have improvement, one, because we've got the sun to help dry up the roads. We're scouring out the Arctic air. And again, temperatures will begin to rebound then. And you can see by Sunday, we're back to in the 60s. Could be a few showers around early next week, watching a weather maker there. But take a look by the following weekend. In fact, I've got a 70 showing up there on down the road. So a lot going on, like I mentioned, just over the next 24 to 36 hours. Hopefully you're really staying plugged into the weather, and again, hopefully you're staying off the roads. I mean, this stuff is, these winter weather deals we get, and luckily, like I mentioned, we get them, once a season, over the last few years, once a season, but they're ultra high impact. And again, you just feel for the people you see on social media that, again, either have to get on the roads because, we hear it here all the time, my boss made me go to work, we hear that, and people have to go in. But I mean, it's dicey. These roads, especially with the elevated bridges and overpasses, the infrastructure here in the Metroplex, I mean, it's tough. And once you have a wreck, chances are in this situation, it's not necessarily just a fender bender. So that's where we are, folks. Again, thanks for watching our behind the scenes discussion. Again, you can always watch our channel, full coverage there. Of course, we'll be back there tomorrow as well. I'll try and do another one of these tomorrow and keep you up to date with kind of the behind the scenes look at the forecast as well. Otherwise, stay warm, stay safe, and enjoy the rest of your evening, all right?